Good morning, Leo. Yeah, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through an in-depth training session into the Global Atlantic Accumulation 2 income product. And so that way you'll know not only how to present it, but you'll have questions that people will ask you that you'll be able to answer right on the spot and feel comfortable with it. And then once we're done with this, whatever other questions that you may have, just feel free to fire away either by telephone, email, or text message, either way. But on this email that you're receiving today, you're going to be receiving this YouTube video, and then also you're going to be receiving some attachments. The first attachment is going to be this annuity electronic kit. Now what this has different attachments within this product, within this page. So if you click on this, it's going to take you to another page that has information to back this up. And the application builder has a lot of documents like customer brochures and all of that sort of stuff, and in-depth looks at different things. But we're going to be I'm going to also send you the commission schedule, the Choice Accumulation 2. This is a product summary page. I'm going to send you the current interest rates and also the Choice Accumulation presentation or training information. Now these are going to come on separate email attachments, and so if you would print out these 4 documentations before you look at the entire video. But first off, I'm going to just go through some annuity basics with you. There's basically 2 parts of an annuity that are the life of the annuity. The first phase is what they call the accumulation phase. That's whenever you put money into the annuity and you're getting a certain interest rate and it's accumulating. And then the second part is the withdrawal. Okay, so these are the 2 main things that people need to know about and that you need to know about how annuities work. Okay, so the accumulation part is when people put money in and they're accumulating at a certain interest rate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through several different factors on the accumulation process, and then we're going to talk about the withdrawal process. And but as far as accumulation, this is general information in regards to different types of annuities, and but it's going to cover most all annuities, whether it's the Choice Accumulation 2 or any other annuity. But on the accumulation side, it may have a bonus to put the money in, or maybe no bonus. Okay, you have it may be a fee product where they're charging a fee for a rider, or a no fee product. So you're going to get that question a lot. Oh, well, how much are you charging me? Well, based on the type of product it is, it's either going to have a fee or not fee. The Choice Accumulation has an optional fee, and we're going to talk about that when we get into that specific product. So this is just basic information on annuities right now. And then you have a fixed interest rate that you can get added to it. Okay, and that's typically like the CD rate, 2%, 2.5%, somewhere in there. And that's going to change monthly, but once it's locked in, once somebody puts money in, it's guaranteed for an entire year, but they do change that monthly. And then you have different indexes on how you can earn money added to the annuity each year. Okay, so you got the Standard & Poor's Index. Okay, you got the Dow Jones. You got BlackRock. Companies come out with all different sorts of indexes to do crediting methods. You got the PIMCO bond index. Basically companies create these different indexes and track them to add money to an annuity. And so what happens is, depending on what index you put the money in, if that index performs in a positive manner from one year to the next or 1 month to the next, depending on how it's done, then they're going to add that interest into the money that they pay. And so then you also have different crediting methods. Okay, and I'm going to go into this also more deeply, but you have like the annual point to point. Okay, then you got the monthly point to point. Then you got the monthly participation rate. Okay, so, and they have a couple more different crediting methods. And so in other words, you're tracking these indexes, but then there's a different way that you can do the credit. Let me give you an example of how that works. Okay, so the market goes like this, and then it'll go down, then it'll go back up, then it'll go like that. Okay? So how do the crediting methods work? For instance, like if you do an annual point to point, okay, so they'll read, like say someone buys an annuity right here at this day, and you put it all in the Standard & Poor's index, and you do an annual point to point crediting method. Okay, so the money goes in right here, $100,000. Okay, and then the annual point-to-point cap might be 5.25%. Okay, we'll say the market goes up right here, and then 1 year later, they measure the market again, 1 year out. Okay, and so you say it's going up 8%. Well, then you get the full credit of 5.25 on top of the $100,000. So it goes to $100,000, $105,000, $250. Okay, so that's the annual point to point. So that's how it's credited on this particular method. Say the next year you decide, okay, well, we're going to do a monthly point to point. Okay, well, with the cap, you can only earn 5.25 for the entire year. Say with the monthly cap might be 1.2%. Okay, so that's credited monthly. So if you multiply 1.2% times 12 months, that's, let's say 10 months is 12%, plus 2 more months, that's 2.4, so that's 14.4% potentially that you could earn if you're doing the monthly point to point. Now, I did meet with the actuaries up in Minnesota, and even though this crediting method looks good, it is more risky, because the thing about it is say you got 1 month, say that they put the money in right here, they change it after 1 year to the point to point, monthly point to point, then they're measuring it each month. Well, say over the next 3 months it goes down, the index goes down, so you're at minus 6.6%, and then next month, then it starts going back up. Then you start getting 1.2, 1.2. So, and say right here is the next annual date. Okay, so it might be up, 6.8%. And then they're going to add that to on top of the $105,250. So basically, the actuaries say that you can earn more money with this monthly point-to-point crediting method. However, they say that it is the highest risk method also. And so, for instance, like say you're earning 1.2 month, and the market's steady going up like this, and say it goes down 15 points in 1 month, 15% or whatever, it could potentially wipe out all your gains for that month. And so while all of this is going on, the money is not actually invested in the stock market, okay? These are just crediting methods to see how much interest that you're gonna earn. And so what happens is how the actual annuity looks. So these are different crediting methods right here. Okay, but how the actual annuity looks is like this. And we're gonna go into this later because this is gonna be more of an in-home client presentation. But say you put the $100,000 in here, okay, the market goes up, and say you're doing the Standard & Poor's annual point-to-point, which by the way is the safest return that you can get. In other words, if you wanna be safe and get a good return, I always put it in the annual point-to-point Standard & Poor's index. I don't get into these BlackRock 2-year indexes or the PIMCO bond index or the Dow Jones or these other ones. And so, but anyway, so like say you put the $100,000 in here and the market goes up, and so you earn, it goes to $105,250. That's it. If the cap is that cap right now, okay? So say then next year, the market goes down. So what happens is your principal is 100% guaranteed plus your market interest that you've been credited. So right here, instead of your money going down, you're locked in. So you've not lost any money the next year. So say the third year, year 3, the stock market goes back up. Well, then your money's gonna go back up with it. You're gonna get another 5.25%. So at the end of the third year, you're at $10,500. $110,500. Okay, and so that's how that works. In other words, and this is how you're going to be explaining it in the family's house, and we're going to get to this later in the presentation. And okay, can you pause that for just 1 second, please? Okay, we're also going to talk about the withdrawals and how you take money out, because a lot of people are going to want to know, oh, well, how do I get my money out of here? And so there's basically, I tell the people or the families that I deal with, look, there's multiple ways that you can get money out of your annuity. It's very, very flexible. And so there's several different ways, but we're going to cover all of them. And so you know how to do that. Okay, so basically you can get 10% free withdrawals. Okay. And what I mean by free withdrawals is there's surrender charge period of time in here. So you're going to be seeing this on the choice accumulation too. There's a 5-year product, a 7-year product, and I want to say a 10-year product. And so like, for instance, like on a 10-year product, you have, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, so forth, surrender charge period of time. Okay, and on the 7-year the same, and 5-year the same. Okay, so the 10% free withdrawal is you can pull up to 10% of the money. If you go over that, then you're going to pay a slight surrender fee if you're in that surrender charge period of time. And now once you get beyond that, there's no more withdrawal charge. And then you can do life only income, or life income with 10 years, or life with survivor, or life with survivor 50% or 75%, much like a pension. And so these are different types of annuity settlement options is what they call them. And so I typically do not recommend any of my clients to take any of these options I usually tell them to turn on the income rider or do the free withdrawals, because once you turn on annuity type settlement, you basically have annuitized the annuity. And so what that means is you've created a lifetime income. So say you put $100,000 in and you're pulling $1,000 a month and it's your life only and you die in 6 months, boom, that's it, the money's gone. The insurance company keeps the balance. Well, who wants that? Nobody. Or life with income guaranteed for 10 years. You know, that's still kind of iffy. But the bottom line is once you annuitize it with one of these methods, then you're locked in. You can't change it. You can't get extra money. Oh, the car broke down. I need an extra $5,000. And so I usually never recommend these type of settlement options. I will go with the 10% free withdrawal or turn on the income rider, which I'm fixing to show you. And this is how I normally show a client when I'm visiting with a client on the withdrawal side. I'll say, okay, well, Mr. Jones, okay, here's a bucket with your money in it. Here's the spigot, okay, coming out of the bucket. Okay, so you put in $100,000, and you know it's been earning 5.25% on the Standard & Poor's Index on top of that annually. Okay, so now it's up to say 135,000. I'm just using this as an example. Okay, so there's two different ways you can take money out of this, but of course there's multiple ways on how you take that money. Okay, so you can take money out of here. That's the 10% free withdrawal. Okay, so when you're taking the 10%, it's coming out of the bottom of the bucket. So it's basically coming out of their principal. So it's non-taxed, and you can take either lump sum, or you can say, oh, well, give me 10%, but I want to pay it out over a year. You can take, lump sum or monthly checks. And then money's still going in the top of the bucket the whole time, okay? Or you can take money out of the top of the bucket. Now, if you take money out of the top of the bucket, you're taking a percentage of the interest and a percentage of the principal combined. So say you're taking $1,000 a month over here, well, that's all non-taxable because it's considered principal and the bucket's drawing from the bottom. Okay, well, say you're taking money out here, out of the top, well, you're getting a percentage of the interest and a percentage of the principal. So you might get $1,000 a month off of there, and then, $300 of that is taxable monthly. Okay, so, but they will guarantee this figure for the rest of your life. That's what the difference is. And so I tell Mr. Smith, I say, look, you can turn the income on off the top of the bucket without annuitizing it and just start drawing a monthly check. And say it's, 3.5% or 4%. In other words, the insurance company determines, and it goes up, this figure goes up based on your age. The older you get, the higher percentage you can pull out and guarantee your income no matter how long you live. Okay, so with that being said, you can have an income and never run out of money, no matter how long you live. I mean, you might live to be 100 years old and you're still pulling this check every month. Okay, where if you start pulling at 10%, what the actuaries say and what has been said is that you can draw down your portfolio at 4% and never run out of money. Well, with the low interest rate environment we've been in over the last 20 years, this figure has actually dropped down to like 2.5%. So in other words, the actuaries and all the financial gurus of the world say, you know, if you want to never run out of money, this is the figure you need to take out. And so if the insurance company is giving you this and guaranteeing you'd never run out of money, then you're transferring that risk to the insurance company that you'll never run out of money. But if you're pulling from the bottom, this 10%, well, obviously 10% over 10 years, you know, you've already pulled $100,000. You're pulling 10% of your money out. And if you're only earning at 5%, your money is going to run out in about 15 years. You're going to be broke. So these are the different ways you can take money out of your annuity. And now we're going to get into the choice accumulation product, and we're going to dive into that specific product to answer your questions, and then we'll go forward from there. Thanks. Okay, now we're going to dive right directly into the choice accumulation product, and I hope that you printed out the paperwork that I asked you to. But anyway, this is the product overview, and so I'm just going to basically go down through this, and it's pretty simple, but we're going to also dive into the particulars on it too. So the issue ages is from 0 to 85. Okay, 25,000 is the minimum, up to $1 million, up to age 80, and up to $500,000 for age 81 through 85. Now you can go over those, but in order to do that, you have to call and get special approval, which is fine. And of course, they have it in all different types of money forms. You know, you got the non-qualified, non-qualified stretch, IRAs, inherited IRAs. So the non-qualified stretch and the inherited IRA is very much the same thing. You're basically taking the money over an extended period of time to keep the taxes down. And so, and then of course you also have Roths, IRAs, and SEP, which is Simplified Employee Pension, which basically is a fancy word for an IRA for a small business owner. It's called SEP. Okay, but anyway, and you have the different crediting methods, and we're going to go through the crediting methods again in a moment when we get to the training on this particular brochure right here. And but they are going to be the same as what we talked about: the point-to-point, monthly, point-to-point, participation rate, and so forth. We're going to dive into those a little bit deeper. But then you have withdrawal charges on this sheet here. And so see, you've got the 5-year, the 7-year, and the 10-year. Withdrawal surrender charge rates. So these are the different ways you can do it. And some people will say, hey, don't you have like a 5-year product or something shorter than a 10-year? And you can say, well, we got a 7-year, we got a 5-year, whatever. And but also, you should have also printed out the commission schedule also. And if you'll look, they have the different commissions for the choice accumulation to 5-year, 7-year, and 10-year. So the commission schedule is different depending on how long the company is going to keep the money. So your maximum commission rate is under age 80 for a 10-year plan is 6%. And then 5% for the 7-year, and then 4% for the 5-year. And so the commission is scaled down a point depending on which one you go with. And then also, if you decide you want to take trails, you can forego the lump sum commission, take a reduced commission, and then like this one has 4%, and then you get a 0.4% commission trail, okay, which would be $400 a year on $100,000. And but you've got to be careful with that, because a lot of people that we're dealing with are up in age. And so if you don't get all the commission up front, you know, and they must live for 1 year to earn it, to become earned commission. But say you take one with trails, and say they die in 5 years and you've not collected all your commissions, oh well, you know what I'm saying? That's just how it goes. And so you got to be very careful if you try and develop a trail commission with this product, because of the elderly market that we deal with. Now, if you have people in their, you know, 60s or maybe early 70s in excellent health, you may want to consider taking a commission option trail on that. And so, but that's something for you to consider yourself. Now, also you have a market value adjustment if they cash it out. Now, this is only during the surrender charge period of time, okay? But basically how a market value adjustment works is it's an extra charge that the insurance company can levy or a benefit to the families depending on what they're doing. So say for instance, the guaranteed interest rate is 3% going in. Well, let's be a little more or less realistic. Say it's 2%. Okay, so and so say 5 years down the road, and if they got a 10-year product and 5 years down the road they want to cash it out. Well, say the market rate is 2.2%. So they're going to do a market value adjustment and reduce the cash, increase the cash surrender value by 2%. Or say it's 1.8%. Okay, so it may be a credit, they may get a little bit higher cash surrender than what the cash surrender amount is. So the market value adjustment is a tricky thing, and I really wouldn't even get into that too much. And I stay away from even discussing that, to be honest with you. Okay, now on the death benefit with the choice accumulation product 2, there's 2 different ways you can do it. You can do a fee or no fee. Okay. Okay, so if you do a fee death benefit, they have a 0.05% charge for it, but you get a 7% increase on the death benefit. Okay, so for instance, say you have $100,000 and you add the death benefit rider on there. They're going to charge 0.05% annually, but you're going to get 7% on the top. So at year 1, the death benefit goes to $107,000. Then it goes to $114,000. Then it goes to $121,000. So it just continues on at the rate of 7% guaranteed for 15 years, which that's a fantastic increase in death benefit. And so that may be something you may want to add on the product on a regular basis, because if you tell a client, hey, you know, your death benefit is increasing by 7% guaranteed annually, well then, you know, obviously it's going to more than double the value of the annuity over a 15-year period of time. Now, it is only good to start that at age 75. In other words, that's only good through age 0 through 75 ages. So if they're beyond age 75, up in here, from 75 through 85, I wouldn't even bring up the 7% death benefit rider, because they can't get it. So you just got to be careful when presenting that and know when to present it, not when, and when not to. And then the same thing with the nursing, they have a nursing care waiver and a terminal illness waiver. And so they have to be combined into a nursing facility for in excess of 90 days. And so if they are, then they also can access all of the money without any surrender charges period of time. Okay, so this is the basics on the choice accumulation product overview. Now we're going to dive into a little bit more on the actual training itself, and we're going to kind of zip through this and move this right along. Okay.